I agree with you, Ms. D. The gang problem that's going on in the black communities is just out of control. You have people in Chicago who are terrorized.
I will say this.
Exactly. You got people in Miami who are terrorized.
It's not just in the black community. It's also in the Hispanic community.
It is. It's in the Hispanic community too, but black and Hispanic people stand both. We all kind of stand together in these poor areas where these gang violence, where this stuff is taking place. It's just completely out of control, and you got citizens in those areas who are upstanding citizens. Most of them are working every day. They're trying to provide a better life for their kids and for their kids to get out of those areas. But it seems like they're scared. They don't know what to do. And as I was listening to some of the reports of the people who live in Baltimore and some people who live in that area where Mr. Fenwick lived at, a lot of them were saying, we don't even come outside. We go to work and we stay home. We go to work and we stay home. There's nothing on the streets of Baltimore.
Where bullets once filled the air outside this house on Park Heights Avenue, there are now balloons. They pay tribute to 24-year-old Kendal Fenwick, who was gunned down by drug dealers on Monday after erecting a fence to keep them away.
Just to think that, retaliation can come so swift and in such a vicious manner. I just kind of had to come here and just, grieve. It just really touched me.
Earl Johnson has taken a similar stance on the east side of the city in the Oliver community. Yet for him, Fenwick's murder still strikes too close to home.
Yeah, I work with a lot of drug dealers in my community, trying to help them get jobs. And it's also those drug dealers who don't want jobs that you got to kind of push off your corner. My wife is always telling me, you're doing too much. You're pushing the limit. And it doesn't really hit home until now. And I'm thinking, what if this was my house and my family and they came in my house? What protection do I have?
When Fenwick was ambushed, police say the single father, who was raising 3 children on his own, refused to seek shelter back inside the house, fearing that he would put those children in harm's way. Now many here hope his sacrifice was not in vain.
And even in the community, like right now, even if you're not drug dealing, there's no sense of neighborhood. It's just a hood now. So this young man, he's not out here breaking any laws. He's not drug dealing. He's trying to better the community, and he lost his life because of that. So this really should cause us to ask a question: are we willing to lay our lives down for what's right and for the betterment of things?
For us to step back now and say it's too dangerous, it means he died for nothing. We honor a lot of different type of people in this community. We need to honor him. I understand people wanting to honor Freddie Gray. I understand the whole, Freddie Gray thing, but this is a man that definitely needs to be elevated and definitely needs to be honored.
Yo, what's up? It's your guy Dawson from D&D TV. I'm here along with Miss D. Miss D, say what's up to the people.
What's up, people?
All right, you guys, I got this story coming out of Baltimore in the Park Heights Avenue area, and it's of a young community activist, 24 years old, Miss D, Kendal Fenwick, who was gunned down outside of his home. He's a father of 3, also a community activist there, very well known in the community, and the community there is outraged, not only because this marks the 295th homicide in Baltimore this year in 2015, but because this man was an upstanding citizen who was raising his 3 children by himself, a homeowner, and was trying to rid drugs, out of his community and doing a lot of stuff to help the community, Ms. D. Ms. D, the police commissioner came out and basically said they're going to find who did this, that this was a cowardly act, and that the people basically need to turn themselves in. And Ms. D, you hit me up with this story, and I looked into it further. What do you think about this whole thing?
I think it's sad that any city in America has that type of crime going on. Nowadays, with all the surveillance that they have. Okay, basically, these gang members are, they're terrorists. They're terrorizing their local neighborhoods.
Yes.
And instead of the police focusing on that, they're singling out people that are doing petty stuff, minor stuff, like Eric Gardner, selling single cigarettes on a corner, when there are other things that they could be addressing in the community that the black community would actually get behind them on.
Exactly. And I agree with you, Ms. D. the gang problem that's going on in the black communities is just out of control. You have people in Chicago who are terrorized.
I will say this.
Exactly. You got people in Miami who are terrorized.
In the black community, it's also in the Hispanic community.
It is. It's in the Hispanic community too, but black and Hispanic people stand both. We all kind of stand together in these poor areas where these gang violence, where this stuff is taking place. It's just completely out of control, and you got citizens in those areas who are upstanding citizens. Most of them are working every day. They're trying to provide a better life for their kids and for their kids to get out of those areas. But it seems like they're scared. They don't know what to do. And as I was listening to some of the reports of the people who live in Baltimore and some people who live in that area where Mr. Fenwick lived at, a lot of them were saying, we don't even come outside. We go to work and we stay home. We go to work and we stay home. There's nothing on the streets of Baltimore. And it's sad because I look at this, Ms. D, mostly on every corner in black communities, it's a liquor store and it's a church. Do we put what are the churches doing? In Baltimore, they got, some really big mega pastors up there. What are they doing about this?
As far as I'm concerned, they're not doing enough because, number one, when these different stores and companies want to move into your community, if you go to any suburban community, you will not see a liquor store on every corner.
Correct.
You will not see that, okay? You won't see a liquor store and a church's chicken and all this just unhealthy stuff and different things that draws crowds. You will not see that in a suburban community.
Yeah.
Anytime you get a bunch of people in poverty taking up one area, it brings everything down. It brings the housing properties down. The schools are terrible. No one wants to work in the area. Instead of doing I don't understand why at this point we haven't created a different housing program. And also, Baltimore, just in general, has been a wreck forever. They have not done any construction, any remodeling. They still have the same project that they've had up since, I think, 1950 in Baltimore. The same one.
It's real sad, Miss D, and I'm just really, these children are left without a father. The community is left without, an activist who was doing a lot, who was, praised by a lot of people, not only the commissioner and some of the other police officers, but the people in the neighborhood, were just really testifying to the stuff that he had been doing in the community and the things that he wanted to do. And it's sad that when you have people in the communities who really, some of them don't want to leave. They believe that, they're not scared of it, not scared of their people. So we want to help and we can understand. But at the same time, when it's like you trying to help, but you dying in the process. And that's why so many people, and I got in trouble for saying this a long time ago, that so many people who grew up in those areas, when they leave, they don't go back. They don't try to give back because they know the hell that they went through staying in the ghettos, staying in the projects, that once they leave, it's like, man, I made it out, so hey, y'all better make it out too, because most of those areas aren't a good place to stay.
That's true.
And to raise kids.
That's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you're working against the grain.
You are, yeah.
You're working against the grain.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people are on government assistance.
Yeah.
They do have programs like Section 8 and different things, and I don't understand why they can't take a program like Section 8 and spread some of these people out instead of letting them all get crowded in the same community.
Nobody don't want that in their neighborhood.
Kids,
Nobody don't want that in their neighborhood. That's why they don't spread it out.
But you want to know, I don't care how ghetto mentality a person is. If you take a family, okay, and you take a single mom, and maybe, she has a little job, but her mentality is not quite right. She's probably dating the wrong guy. And you sit her in a relatively peaceful area, and there's somebody else around her that has that same mentality, she's not going to be able to get caught up into too much stuff. Plus, the kids
she's going to invite them over. Go ahead. I hear what you're saying. I've seen that scenario too many times where you take somebody from the projects, from the hood, and they still have that mentality, because it's a mentality. It's not really where you stay. It's a mentality. And you put them in better living situations. A lot of them, if they got transportation, especially down here, I'm speaking of what I know down here in Florida, they'll commute people over to the house, have loud parties out there. You may have it be in a peaceful neighborhood, and they still got it crunked up like they lived in the projects.
Yeah, and then I guess that's when they get kicked out and sent back to where they're
it's a mentality.
Came from.
Exactly.
It is truly a mentality. And you know, for those people, those are probably not the people we're aiming for. You know, the people that we're probably aiming for is Kendall.
Yes.
A guy like that. That's the type of person you probably would want
in your
to
neighborhood.
Provide additional services to and move him out of the community. But you are correct. There are some people that, you know, they're not going to leave. They're going to fight for their community. They're not going to let, you know, the drug dealers or the gangs chase them off. But, I mean, I just can't imagine raising kids in Baltimore with that level of violence going on.
Exactly. Well, again, you know, our prayers and thoughts go out to the family member of Kendal Fenwick and definitely to his 3 children. To the people in the Baltimore area, in that community, it's just real sad. It's just real sad. What's your final thoughts on this, Ms. D?
You know, I don't even know what to say at this point. It's been going on for years in Baltimore. Years, over 20, 30 years. I mean, honestly, they consider when they say their crime rate has dropped, you're talking about, okay, this year only 250 people were killed instead of 300 people the previous year. It's horrible. And homicides, we're not talking about car accidents. We are talking about homicides.
Yes.
They're looking for suspects.
It's real sad. It's real sad. And again, our prayers and our thoughts go out to Kendal Fenwick and his family. And y'all, let's do better. And if you know anything about this, definitely let the police know, man. Because, I mean, we basically have to save ourselves on this one. Until then, I'm your guy Dawson, along with Miss D. Say goodbye to the people, Miss D.
Goodbye, people.
Peace.